Hello everybody, welcome to the another exciting session. Today we are going to discuss about example of a resistor. In the previous session we have discussed about what is resistor, working of a resistor, calculation of a resistor by using ohms. So if you have not seen this previous video, I will provide the link in description. So this session is divided into three parts. The first part is connection of an LED with the voltage source without resistor. The second part is connection of LED with resistor and voltage source in series. The third part is connection of LED with the resistor and the voltage source in parallel. Now let us explore first part. Connection of first part, we require three components. One is DC voltage source and LED and the ground element. This is the symbol of LED. Now I am connecting the positive of a voltage source to the positive of an LED and the negative of the voltage source to the ground and the negative of the LED to the ground. So before simulating, for every element it has specific parameters. So for example, if we see this voltage source, it will have certain voltage and the current values. Like that, in the same way, for a LED also it has certain accepting voltage and current. So let us see what is the accepting voltage of this specific LED and see what happens if we apply the greater than voltage and less than voltage. Let us simulate. Now my input voltage is 1 volt with respect to the 1.37 current. So you can see here the LED is not glowing because we are supplying less than this voltage. So that's why it is completing this circuit. So now we will check what is this acceptance voltage of this LED. So here you can observe that the wavelength of this LED is 520 nanometers, which gives the color of green, and the acceptance voltage is 2 volts with respect to the 20 milliamps current. So let us see by giving 2 volts what happened to this LED. So by applying the 2 volts, the LED is glowing. When we apply 3 volts, the LED gets bursted. 4 volts, same condition. 5 volts, same condition. 6 volts, same condition. 7 volts, same condition. 8 volts, same condition. If we apply more than the acceptance voltage, it is getting bursted. If you are applying the less than the acceptance voltage, it is not glowing. So when you are giving more voltage and you require less voltage to this element, we will use resistors to decrease the voltage from higher voltage to lower voltage. So let us see the second part by connecting the resistor with series with the voltage source and an LED. Now I am taking the one resistor with the value of 1 kilo ohms. Now I am connecting the positive of this voltage source to the one side of the resistor, the second side of the resistor to the positive of the LED. So this is the series connection of resistor with LED with voltage source. So in the series circuit, the current will be same but the voltage will be different. So let us see by simulating it what happens. So let us check from the 1 volts. So when I am giving 1 volts with respect to the 1.35 microamps current and the 1 kilo ohms resistor with the accepting voltage of the 2 volts of this LED. So let us see what happens when we are applying 2 volts. So in the previous part we have seen that when we are applying 2 volts, it is getting directly to the LED and it is glowing. So when we are applying 2 volts, which is the accepting volt of LED, so it is going to the resistor and it is opposing the some flow of the current and it is giving 1.59 volts. So if you increase the 3 volts, it is giving 1.71 volts, which is not the acceptance voltage of this LED. So that's why it is not glowing. So if you are unaware of the calculation of this voltage, resistor and current, do check out my previous video I have explained the what is resistor, working of resistor and calculations of resistor values by using Ohm's law. I will keep this link in the description. Do check out that. So when I am applying 5 volts, it is giving 1.81 volts. So 6 volts, it's giving 1.84 volts. By applying 7 volts, 1.86 volts. So it is somewhat nearer to the 2 volts. So that's why it is slightly glowing. Now apply the 8 volts. It is 1.88, somewhat nearer to 2 volts. Now apply 9 volts. You can observe that it is slightly glowing. When you apply 10 volts, it is giving 1.9 volts. You can observe some bright light. Then you are applying 20 volts. It is giving 1.99, which is 2 volts. So when I am giving the 20 volts input supply, it is giving 2 volts with the resistance of 1 kilo ohm. So that's why this LED is glowing. So let us see what happens if we are applying 30 volts. By applying 30 volts also, it is nearer to the 2 volts. That's why it is glowing. 40 volts. So greater than 40 volts, it is above the 2 volts. That's why this LED is getting busted. Now let us see by changing the value of the resistor what happens. Now I am keeping the value is 1 volts and we will check the resistor's value of 100 ohms. Now check. My input voltage is 1 volts and the resistance is 100 ohms. It is taking 1 volts input and it is giving 1 volts output. By using this Ohm's law, we are getting 1 volt, which is insufficient voltage of this LED. Now let us change this voltage to the 2 volts and see what happens. So when we are applying 2 volts to this 100 ohms resistor, it is giving 1.77 volts. When we are applying 3 volts, it is giving 1.93 volts, which is nearer to the 2 volts. That's why it is getting slightly glowing. When we are applying 4 volts, so when we are applying 4 volts, it is giving 2 volts output. That's why the LED is glowing. So when we are applying the 5 volts, it is giving 2.04, which is nearer to 2 volts. 6 volts, 39.3 current, and it is giving 2.07 volts. So greater than the 6 volts, it is getting busted. So by this circuit, we can observe that if you are applying more voltage, but you require less voltage to operate the any element, like in this video we are using LED. So this LED requires 2 volts, but my input voltage is 5 volts or 6 volts or 4 volts. So I am using the 100 ohms resistor to resist this voltage and give 2 volts of input voltage to the LED. So now let us explore the third part, connecting the resistor parallel to the voltage source and LED. I am connecting the positive terminal of the voltage source to the one end of the resistor and another end of the resistor to the ground, and another end from the resistor to the positive terminal of an LED. Let us see by applying initially 1 volt. So my voltage is 1 volt, which is less than 2 volts. So that's why it is creating this box and it is flowing in this box only. So as I said in earlier, the series circuit will, in the series circuit, the current will be same, but the voltage will differ. In the parallel circuit, the voltage will be same, but the current will be different. So let us see when we apply 2 volts what happens. So when we apply the 2 volts, the current will be traveling to this LED and it glows. Because I have said the voltage will be same, in this circuit. So we will see what happens when we apply 3 volts. So if we apply 3 volts which is greater than 2 volts, it is getting busted. 4 volts, it is getting busted. 5 volts, busted. So it accepts only the 2 volts. It looks like same like without resistor, because the input value which is coming from this voltage source, it is entering to the resistor and it is going to the ground, and again it is going to this voltage source, but it is not entering to this LED. So entire context of this session is the resistor is used to protect the element, thus this circuit element LED. In this session we have explored connection of an LED with a voltage source and a connection of LED with resistor and voltage source in series, and connection of LED, resistor and voltage source in parallel. So I hope you enjoy this content. So if you enjoy this content, smash that like button, and if you have any queries, just comment it below. Thank you.